Why, it's Mr. Spock. Buried alive. Buried alive. More! Johnny 2!
Remember this well. There shall be no peace as long as Kirk lives.
Come on, come on.
You fly apart. Fire apart then.
Greetings, one and all, and welcome to Mornings of Mischief. I'm your host, Stone Loki, and with me today on Thirsty Thursday is my special guest, Pops. How are you doing, brother?
Hey there, folks. How are y'all doing out there? It's good morning, my brother. Thanks for having me again.
Oh, thank you for being here. We're going to talk Indian cinema, but before we get to that, we're going to say hello to everybody. And right off the bat, June Wong, what is up, my friend, with the $10 super chat? Says, Loki, I need some advice. I recently reconnected with a booker I liked. I really enjoyed bookings with this booker. My dilemma, should I hold my money on super chats for Loki or hold it on bookers? Or blow it. Okay, so blowing in on bookers or with bookings or super chats with Loki. Man, dude, I don't know, man. What makes you feel better? What makes you feel better? What gets your blood flowing? What is like, damn, I like this. Spend your money on that. If you like spending your money on me, if you like throwing me a super chat every once in a while, by God, throw me a super chat. If you like doing the bookings, man, then do that. That's up to you, brother. Whatever makes you more happy. Amen. That's all I can tell you on that one. Good morning, everybody. How's it going? Good morning, June Wong. Snorted Poops Cuber, my favorite polar bear on YouTube. Good morning. Chris Persia, the Wrench of Wrenches, is here, along with Mark, the Infinitely Tired, and Project Storytime. rounds out the wrenches of Ragnarok. Good morning, gentlemen. I hope you are all well. Dave G Sound, Shellback TJC, the lady, Arwen Avalon. Good morning, Arwen. Leia, good morning, Leia Rose. Good morning. How are you doing? Das Whoopin'. Oh, yes. That's what gets my blood pumping in the morning. Good morning, Pacific 414. How are you doing? Dave G Sound, the mad doctor of disaster and destruction, a Dega outlaw. Arabic Sonder, good morning. Gary Banjo Sandwich Worthington, what a mouthful. Good morning. I bet you ladies tell you that all the time. Good morning. How are you doing, brother? Decepticons, Cabe of Billings, good morning. Captain Fandom Nerd, how are you doing? Good morning, everybody. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But we're going to get this show on the road. Luis Sparrow, good morning. Gesture of Sin, good morning. Olds Gamer 72 Cutlass, how are you doing? Good morning, guys. So, Pops, I knew kind of knew a little bit about Bollywood and a little bit about the Indian cinema, but you've been like, Loki, you got to check this movie out. Loki, you got to look at what these guys are doing. Loki, they're completely anti-woke over there. Loki, they're like, no, we're going to make badass movies with testosterone-driven guys, and we're going to have explosions and all kinds of shit. And Pops has convinced me to check this out.
Have to watch at least the one, and I'm going to make him do a talk hard if nothing else. So if it doesn't happen in the next few weeks, so we have like four talk hard set. If not, well, the fifth one will be RRR. So RRR it was praised by Chris Gore when it first came out back in March, and I've heard him mention it. And my only experience was like you, Loki. I only Bollywood stuff. I've never been exposed to other stuff. Definitely nothing within the last few years. And I just can't get into the singing and the dancing, and all their movies are really long, and I got it, right? And then I heard another person, Zax, and then Flaccid Phoenix. And Flaccid Phoenix did this video where they break some of this stuff down, and I was like, okay. And they invited me on a show. I'm like, I have to watch it or I'm going to look. I mean, what's the excuse? I didn't want to spend 3 hours of watching a movie they said was great. That's not a very good excuse. So imagine Braveheart. They basically took two historical figures and created a fictional story where they meet and they have sort of like Matrix / superhero powers in this sort of historical piece like Braveheart. And one of the big messages is like, it's about freedom. It's about trying to rise up against oppression. They have like a buddy element that is really, really fantastic. A lot of it does have English, so you don't have to rely on the subtitles as much as you do their other films, because a lot of it is set, because this is back when it was during British occupation and British oppression. I'm telling you, man, there's a little brief intro part where the story is going to kind of be started. And then you have these almost like chapters of introduction to this character, introduction to that character. If you get through those two introductions of Ram and Beam, and you don't want to continue and you say, nope, Pops, I watched both. I did Fire and Water. I tried. It's not for me. Totally cool. But you at least have to try these two sequences. I'm telling you, it is unchained. It is fun. I know there's some special effects. This is India. We can't expect. I don't know the budget. The budget, I'm pretty sure, is below $100 million. I'm talking like reasonably priced stuff for the effects that we get and stuff. But it's about story for me. You guys know that. I'm all about story. And this was my gateway drug. RRR is my gateway drug. So
Mark asked, does it break out into interpretive dance?
It's okay. So. And again, I've watched, there's a playlist on my channel called Indian Cinema, and I've watched a dozen of these. So I will first apologize if I misspeak or whatever for any of the Indian cinema fans that are out there. There are a couple of sequences where it's almost like the way like a Disney film would handle it, where there's a story, and then when they have a song, the song is giving you lyrics that is actually telling you the story. That is very common in a lot of Indian cinema. Not full-on dance sequences like traditional Bollywood. There's a dance sequence in this, but it's them at a party. So it fits the nature of why you would have this sequence. But I will tell you, even with the other praise that I have for the other films, none of those films do it as well as RR does. They have reached a certain spot where now it is great. And Arwen, if you have seen these movies, please tell me that you've seen RRR. The toxic masculinity. You guys talk about hot guys. You and Darth Arlena need to do a watch party because I'm telling you, Rom and Beam, I'm shocked that there's not merch in America for hot guys. You think our Marvel people look hot with these shirtless guy scenes? These two make these people look like soy boys like you have never seen before. These two guys are men of men in this film. It is insane. Yes. There you go. Gateway drug.
Men of Men, which goes
Yeah.
specifically against what we're getting over here right now. And I'm shocked. I'm shocked that there hasn't been more news about this. Arwen's like, oh, hell yes. I'm shocked there hasn't been more news about this, but Amazon has been clamping down on the films they've been getting from India and saying, no. It has to be more woke. It has to be more present to today's standards. You're doing movies that look like they were filmed back in the 80s as far as the guy's attitude and the way the guys are and the male toxicity. Amazon's clamping down on their movies and saying, no, we won't take them because they're too toxic. That's crazy. If that tells you anything about what's going to be in the Lord of the Rings, by God, you think about the Rings of Power. Oh, these films are too toxic. These films are too toxic. We won't take them over here on Amazon.
And it's funny too, because this is it's just not the elements that we're talking about too. And again, I this is more for me. The women are sexy and beautiful, but there's not exploitation of them. There's no real profanity. They're not crude and crass. There's no like major nude make-out scenes or anything like that, but there is sexy and sex appeal as well in these films. And it is almost like poking Hollywood in the eye. This film and other films are very much everything Hollywood hates. They try to get by on this like these little cheats to get people in. And it is not Bollywood. I want to make sure we're very clear. Loki and I had a little brief conversation that in their country, the different states, these different areas have their own like Hollywood system, their own money, their own finance. So when we talk about S.S. Rajamouli, he is a Telugu filmmaker. He's from this area. And a lot of them have different terms that they use and things of the language. And again, I apologize if I misspeak, but I'm telling you that there's Bollywood, which is northern India, and in southern India, where you have the S.S. Rajamouli films, which is what I recommend. Watch RR first, and if you like his films, then look at his other ones. And these were on Netflix, and I know some of them are on Prime, like you mentioned, with subtitles. A lot of stuff is on Hulu, but there's no subtitles on Hulu that I'm finding. But yeah, RR was my gateway drug. It took me to his other two films, and I watched them in order. So it kind of gave me a better timeline of him developing as a director and the technology advancing. Those are called Bahubali and Bahubali 2, like the beginning and the conclusion. And I didn't care for Bahubali 1 as much until I saw the second one. It's almost like it's almost like two Lord of the Rings movies. Like it's two. You couldn't just take one because everything was kind of open-ended. It had like a suspenseful ending, and then they gave you the other piece of it. That one is a little clunkier, right? So you have, they're from like, I don't have it in front of me. I think it's like 2015 and 2017. So again, you can see special effects that are improving. You can see his techniques are improving. I think there's a little more dancing in that one. I know there's like a marketplace dance sequence that I was in my review. I talk about it. I was like, this whole scene needs to go. This needed to be like a walk in the scene and do this. And I will say that's one of my criticisms of a lot of these films is sometimes the dance sequences, it's like we could have just had the music playing or have people dancing to the music instead of singing. So there are some of those elements in some of these other films that I've reviewed. But yeah, gateway drug. I'm trying to get Loki on the pill. I'm telling you, I'm gonna.
So every one of these films has to have kind of like a dance scene or a singing scene. It's like
a little bit
standard.
A little bit because they have they don't first off, the first thing I had to kind of get my head around was how they don't keep genres separate. Right. They don't. So one of the films that was recommended me. So my fourth one that I took in was a recommendation from an Indian doctor that I work with who said, you need to watch Three Idiots. And he said, I hate Bollywood films, but these people, I don't know if it was a relative who said, we need to go see it. And they took him to see this film. and it's a comedy, but it also has heavy-handed subplots from like, so imagine Real Genius or like Revenge of the Nerds type element of college comedy, but add in like the heaviness of Good Will Hunting or Dead Poet Society. It sounds crazy, and it does have crazy dance sequences in it, but the subplots and the character developments, and I'm talking about character arcs for like the fourth and fifth character in the movie. This Three Idiots is a comedy, and you have like a subplot and a story arc for like the professor that you hate at the beginning who has a better personality and a development at the end of the movie. We can't get subplots like this, Loki, out of Halo, like a multi-million-dollar process with different characters. We can't get a main character that has a story arc. We can't get main characters. I'm telling you, like even the fourth and fifth, sixth characters, these side characters have story arcs. It's incredible. I really am just blown away. And again,
Well,
when I
these
say
people,
incredible, they're not tens. They're not tens. They're like these are movies that are like 7s and 8s. They're like that. So yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. I was just going to say the scissoring hens. And yes, we said it. The scissoring hens. Buck, 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 buck. They are out there, and they are so afraid to write. Oh, my God, because if we make him toxic at all, it'll be the end of the world. That's why these people were presented as these emotionless husks in Halo. That is not how it was. The Spartan program, it's even in a low budget cartoon, the Spartan program, Master Chief was deeply troubled by the loss of his Spartans when they underwent the procedure to become Spartans. They lost about a third of them, and he was devastated. He went to his commanding officer, he went to his drill instructor, the guy who trained him, the guy who'd been there for them, and said, I prepared for everything, but I didn't prepare for this. How do I deal with this? And he has this heartfelt talk with the drill instructor that has trained them their entire lives. And at the end, he says, I'm never going to let this happen again. I'm never going to lose people like this ever again, even if it kills me. I'm not. That is not this emotionless husk that we got in Halo. That is someone who has passion, who loves his people.
Yeah.
They can't write that because they're so afraid to make a mistake and somehow that character be toxic or be a male or have emotions or feel strongly about something, and they'll be labeled ists, obes, and Yahtzees for it. It's all about fear and how they can't write what they feel because they're too afraid.
Can you imagine
in fear? They bend the knee.
Imagine a story again that actually has like good dads in it, teaching their sons about good things, teaching their sons how to stand up and protect their families. One of the biggest criticisms of RRs that you'll find from the mainstream critics, if there are any that are bothered to actually watch this show, this film, is that they see it as like this. There's this pro-gun message because there's a thing about the value of a bullet and the rebels needing arms and trying to fight against oppression. They can't even see a story that should be a left-wing, pro-freedom, for the little guy, fight against the oppressor storyline. They just see guns. Guns are bad. Guns are bad. We can't have that. They're so simplistic that they can't even see it when it's done right. Bahubali, and I think it's the first one, because the biggest criticism I have of Bahubali is it has to do with a father and a son over the course of these two movies, but it's played by the same actor, and the transition's a little hard to get sometimes. But in the first one, he meets the girl that he wants to be with, and there's this sexy sort of like quasi fight, and he's basically undressing her and he's sexing her up a little bit. It is so classy and erotic, and yet also tasteful and void of like the nudity and stuff. Like if this was a Hollywood film, it would be just race to the room, take off a bunch of clothes, and then that, it's like, but that's been done about 1,000 times. This was at least something different. It was something that showcased a relationship between a man and a woman and sex appeal. And it just, there's so much in it that is so much better than the Hollywood tripe that we're being fed over and over and over again. Right.
Right. McKinney Draws with the $5 super chat. Want to sum up how to do Halo properly? Watch Dr. Halsey's conversation in the opening of Halo 4. It still gives me chills. They're not going to follow the games, Mac. They're not going to follow the games. They're not going to pull anything from the games. But how do you make a show about a game and not take anything from the game? Which they already lie. They lie to you as soon as they say that, because they took things from the games. They just took what they want and cherry picked.
Yeah.
So that's what that means. We're going to cherry pick what we want and what we don't want. Thank you so much, McKinney Draws, for that $5 super chat. Thank you so very much, June Wong, for your $10 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla, and this one is just for you, gentlemen. Skål!
Spartans! What is your profession?
I believe you're going to see RRR, and you're going to make an RRR skull.
Making RRR skull.
I guarantee you will. If nothing else, you'll probably do it just for me, because I'm telling you, you're going to like it. There is a scene with a chariot racing towards the enemy, and I kid you not, on the front of this thing, he has basically the equivalent of like helicopter blades spinning around, just taking people down, almost like a scene out of 300. It's freaking. I'm like, what the? Oh yeah, I'm telling you,
Helicopter blades.
Helicopter blades. I don't know what they are. I want to watch. I only want to watch some of these sequences again, because I'm just like, I'm thirsty for like an edit of RRR, like an hour version of RRR, because like you get the story, you don't want to sit through the whole thing again, and you're like, well, give me this scene, and this scene. Well, I can't have that scene without this scene. Next thing you know, you're at 2 hours and 20 minutes anyway, because it's so freaking good. Yeah.
Das Wilben with the $2 super chat says it is from 2010, but watch Inferion. It is insane.
Inferium. I don't even know what Inferion is.
Someone mentioned that earlier. Inferion. Someone did mention that earlier. Go back and find out who it was, but yeah, okay. I've got to get through RRR, and then I will be better equipped to. RRR is on Netflix, right?
Yes. Yeah. Last I checked, it was. I'm finding most things I want that are being recommended to me on Netflix or Amazon Prime. So I'll double check while we're chatting to make sure it's still there, but it was. But yeah, no, that was the gateway drug. I'm probably, I see it there. It's still there. There's one that I just did that is, make sure I get the names right, because, there's that English white guy. Sardar Udom is a historical drama, a biopic, not a Bollywood film. It does have like the musical stuff at times, but it's more like melancholy music. This movie is based on like a British massacre of this Indian city, and this guy who basically is in jail comes out. He's going to basically get revenge. But what's interesting about him basically almost being like a terrorist, he's not out to just bomb random people or kill random people. He wants to get the people that were responsible for this. When you go on this journey, and it is dramatic and tedious, so it's one of those heavy-handed historical dramas. But when it gets to the scene and they show this murder scene that goes on for like 10 minutes, it is Saving Private Ryan meets Hacksaw Ridge. These people have no problem showing you, giving you the horrors, getting into the dramatic filmmaking that we almost take for granted, and that they are taking for granted, by the way. So, yeah.
Olds Gamer 72 Cutlass asks, "What is RR?" It is an Indian movie, that deals with what we were just talking about.
Yep.
India versus British occupation.
Yeah, Rise, Roar, and Revolt, I believe, is what the RR stands for. But yeah, it is. Again, it was my gateway drug. I don't want to pretend like it's going to be a gateway drug for everybody. But I'll tell you, if you can muster through, there are some really good things. And there's a lot of battles in there, just like it is here. Like it's discussing movies. Oh, you should see this one instead, or this one's better than this one, or this one's that. It's like, it is a lot to take in. So if you end down that rabbit hole, it can be a lot. So that's why I ended up creating my own little playlist on my channel. It's like I had to figure out a way to compartmentalize some of this because it become too much. And my comment sections and my chats are just like, it's insane the amount of information that they'll throw out at you. Imagine meeting someone who's never seen a Hollywood movie and you're going to make recommendations and you're like, there's about 100,000 films you want to throw at them. Then that's kind of how I feel sometimes. So it is about
I can totally get that. I totally get that.
People are,
especially when people haven't really kept up with a
what's
lot
been
of
happening.
things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And you said, is it thirsty? I think that was the term I used to you, which was some irony when this first started. I says they're thirsty for attention for their stuff because they do feel dissed. The Sardar Udam should have been an Oscar nominee because I think it just came out like a couple years ago, and whatever it was that we had for Oscars that year were such garbage. It is sort of blasphemous that we ignored a film like this, and it is, again, it's a dry, dramatic, historical piece. But that is what Oscar films usually will recognize, right? It's some sort of like, story about, an Al Capone type character that was, a whistleblower on this. It's like these deep, heavy things and themes and messages and stuff like that. So they are frustrated and they are thirsty for attention because they don't think their stuff stinks. They want to be able to get more attention, get more eyes on it, get more money, continue to make good stuff. And they do. There is sort of a Bollywood versus everyone else mentality in a lot of the fans that I'm interacting with, at least. But yeah, it is a little different. It's hard to get used to in some ways because, they have a Gary Sue mentality for their alpha males. A lot of the alpha males are very much Gary Sue's. RR ventures away from that a lot more. Bahubali didn't venture away from it until like really the second film. The first film a lot until the end, and then the second film is a lot less Gary Sue stuff. So it is a little bit hard to get used to watching certain movies where like the action, the main character can just punch people and throw them around like a Captain America scene or something. But the storytelling around it and the truth bombs and the wisdom and the great dialogue, it really makes these movies really, really click and work for me.
June Wong with $2 super chat says, I feel that need to clarify Indian as in Calcutta.
Okay.
Thank you.
Don't take that. Okay.
Arwen Avalon, I've been watching a lot more cinema from the East lately, particularly Taiwan cinema. Hollywood could learn a thing or two about good storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
The old, the like John Woo, cop flicks. I used to love those Jet Li, John Woo, all that shit was just, man, I loved it. And you saw the difference when they would come over here and make a movie because it would not be the same type.
Even the Jackie Chan movies are watered down.
Yeah.
We should do Ip Man. You ever seen Ip Man?
No. There's
like Ip Man and there's like a bunch of sequels of Ip Man. It's sort of like that same stuff. It's like the John Woo or whatever. Call out one of those crazy action. We should do that for Talk Hard. We should just find things that, and just like I said, just give it to you for real, good or bad. Look, what else could we did Shark Side of the Moon. Was there anything off limits at this point?
No, not at all.
But Arwen, if you have some great ones, DM me. I'd love to know some good stuff. I'm not sure when I can get to it, but I'll be more than happy to look at some stuff. I got a couple of Korean films that are kind of near the top of the list for Asian stuff, but I'll be happy to look at some Taiwanese stuff. I have no problem. Yeah.
And Mark has sent me a crazy. I'm only gonna play a minute of this because it's on someone else's channel, and I don't like doing that. Let's see.
What are we looking at?
We are looking at, it says the best Indian chase scene in Bollywood special. And they're chasing this guy
in the streets.
That's
an older film. No, man, RR is way better than this. If you wanted a clip, you can either do
multi-car pileups.
Oh yeah, yeah. They use practical effects. This is a real horse and real cars, and they just use old school camera effects to make it work.
So they're really flipping horses over, and they're just
Yeah, they have trained. So they cut it at the right way, so the horse actually goes to the gap in the cars, but the horse is trained to kneel down, so it looks like the horse is going to flip over too. Oh yeah, they're crazy, man. They literally have this scene. And you can watch some of these behind the scenes stuff with this Indian cinema house that does all these CG effects. But they have these two guys swinging over this bridge. It's just insane. Oh yeah, the stunts and stuff in these films, it is next level stuff. Look at that.
Or they're old school. It's old school.
Yeah, old school filmmaking. Yeah. And I will say, even the ones I'm referring to are even better than this. Look at that quality of all these explosions and stuff. They're not holding back. They blew up some stuff, man. Look like a little bit of CGI on that couple of the last ones there, but yeah, it's different. I'm not saying it's for everybody, but I'm telling you what, I'm having a good time, and you can check out my reviews and see what you think. So, yeah, I love John Woo movies.
Yes,
Hard Boiled,
right there, Das Wolfen. Yes.
Ooh, yes,
Bullet to the Head, Better Tomorrow, The Killer, Hard Boiled.
Hard Boiled was
yes.
Great. Gung Fu,
absolutely.
Yes, Gun Fu, yes.
And then you get into the, what was the, give me just a second, let me leave, because there was this one I was so excited about, but it was made here, and you could tell the difference. It was called The One.
Oh yeah, that Jet Li movie. Oh yeah, that was such a letdown, major letdown.
Oh yeah. Why? Because it was made here, and it wasn't made their way.
Yeah, it was watered down. For sure. Yeah. And his films were getting like that, especially once it was more about him. And it's funny how Hollywood doesn't know what to do with those films now. Like they don't really even want to deal with guns. They don't want to deal with that kind of violence. They just don't want that. Notice the guns are gone. You'll have shows with guns and they're like holding the gun all wrong. And it's so spineless and weak and boring. And I was happy to find something good that I could at least start sharing with people. And it kind of changed everything for me and my channel, to be honest. It sped things up tremendously for me because you guys have all been great and gracious and supportive. And I was like, okay, well, I can just keep doing this. I can just keep reviewing and keep just producing and let the chips fall where they may. So little did I know that I would find the thirsty fandom of Indian cinema. Yes, We Were Soldiers had those explosions. I remember that. Yep. Remember Bullet? Remember Steve McQueen's Bullet? Remember like using the real car chase scene? And yeah.
Oh yes, God.
That's old school filmmaking. That's so good. That's why it's so good today. Those were real cars that they were crashing, people. Those were real stuntmen doing that stuff. Yes.
Bullet, the original Gone in 60 Seconds.
Yes.
What's the Great Escape? Steve McQueen on the bike.
Dude. On that motorcycle. Yeah. Yes.
All of that shit was just
hardcore filmmaking, man. And this stuff is a lot like that. So yes.
Steve McQueen's stuntman. Steve McQueen did a lot of stuff on the bike, but he did not do the jump. Mm-hmm. He did not get wrapped in barbed wire, but his stunt double did. His stunt double really got wrapped in barbed wire. This was back in the day when they were like, okay, we'll put this and this on you and you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And they wrapped his ass up in barbed wire.
Yep.
And it's real barbed wire. This isn't any bullshit. This isn't any bullshit like, oh, well, they added in the bobbed part later. No.
Yeah, remember the stuntman on when we did a thing with a T-shirt historian on the Sword of the Sorcerer, and that stuntman. There's a shot where the one guy goes like over the edge of the cliff. He missed the mat and died. They were like, there was old stunts back then, man. People would die. It's crazy. Yes, Blues Brothers did have insane stunts and lots of cool stuff. I would love
lots of cool car crashes.
Yes, lots of cool crashes. Yes, destroyed a lot of stuff. But we used to do this. Burt Reynolds made a career doing this. Clint Eastwood made a career doing this stuff. And it's like we've abandoned it all. And it's like, well, you know what? Screw them. We'll watch the old stuff and we'll find new stuff that's not so bad. So that's kind of how I ended up down this rabbit hole for sure. And I think we have to do a better job of sharing and finding things we like and giving people, the good food to eat so they don't eat the crap.
Well, I one of the things with this recent shit with Alec Baldwin. Oh my God, I didn't touch the trigger, and I didn't pull the trigger, and I never had my hand on the trigger, and I never did this, and oh my God, blah 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 blah. Right? How do you have better safety standards in the 70s than you do now? Because they're all making it about the gun, when in reality, this is Alec Baldwin's fault. He did something he shouldn't have. He said the gun just went off on its own. Guns don't go off on its own. Guns don't kill people on their own.
Right.
But he's making all these excuses. Where is the safety standards that we used to have to keep people safe? Because it's not the damn gun's fault. Oh, well, in a day where we can CGI everything, why does anyone have to have anything besides a rubber gun today? Well, your safety standards used to be up to spec, where shit like this wasn't. Yes, it might happen once in a blue moon, but it wasn't the standard.
Well, part of
the
it
standard was everyone's safe.
About guns. They don't know anything about guns. Like, they're just these soy milquetoast anti-gun haters. So they don't know anything about a gun. Go back to what you're talking about, Clint Eastwood and Burt Reynolds and Steve McQueen. These were manly men. Right? They knew how to throw a punch. Doesn't really make you angry when you see people throw punches and they don't even do it right? Like, you would break your hand. Like, it would just be like, no one hits like that. Like, that's, yeah. So forget about just pointing guns and having fingers on triggers. It's just, oh. But anyway, just remember, always, I stand behind Alec Baldwin, because everyone that stands in front of him must be insane. Yes.
And Dean Grant says Steve McQueen barbed wire shot was inspired by a real name named Charles Upham. The man was awarded the Victoria Cross twice during World War II.
Wow, that's awesome. That's a cool story. Dean is a
that escape was real,
legit,
and
yeah,
and there were people that So a lot of them were based off of real people. I think the leader of I think they called him X. If I'm not completely blanking this morning, he's actually two people, and which Hollywood has a tendency to do is take two people and turn them into one person.
Yeah, that's true. Machini has a great comment too about Baby Driver. You see that one? I love Baby Driver for that reason.
My biggest issue with car chases now, with maybe the exception of Baby Driver, is the overabundance of CG and quick cuts, and not letting a shot last longer than, say, 2 or 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. Does anybody remember James Bond, Quantum of Solace? I fucking hate that movie. Why? Because it's a different shot every 2 or 3 seconds for the whole movie.
There's no action sequences. It's just cut together. It's awful.
Yeah, it's all cut together and spliced together, and I can't watch a movie like that. I can't.
If you haven't seen Baby Driver, folks, it's a lot of fun. A lot of fun. I recommend Baby Driver. That's a movie that didn't catch the legs that I think it should have. I'm not quite sure I understand why. I love Baby Driver.
Dean Krantz says X was really Roger Bushell, man from South Africa. When are movies going to be movies again? One of the reasons why Top Gun comes off so authentic is because they're in planes. Mm-hmm. They're in planes. They're really doing a lot of this stuff. The fighting scenes, it's CGI, blah, 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 whatever. But a lot of it is very authentic. And that's something that Hollywood has gotten away from. And when Tom Cruise comes out before you see the movie and is like, look, I'm really proud of the team that worked on this movie. We worked really hard. We did it for you. We loved this movie and we loved making it. And we loved the fact that we got the opportunity to make it because of you, the fans that are sitting there in the theater watching it right now. You don't get that.
You remember when we did the Talk Hard on the thing? We were talking about Rob Bottin, and he was talking about how they use like eggs and oatmeal and all this stuff to make effects because we were trying to make it look like something else, but it's real. It exists. So it's a tangible thing. So your brain, you can emotionally connect to it more. And that's what we've lost with CGI.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree.
Yeah.
No, I absolutely agree with that.
And I'm not trying to say that RRR and these other movies don't have a lot of CGI. They do, and you'll see why, because the stuff they're doing is freaking off the chain.
Top Gun, Tom Cruise paid at least $11 million per jet that they had to use for the movie, if I'm correct. Yeah, it was something insane, like $15,000 an hour.
Yeah.
But it's authentic.
You just crossed $1.4 billion, man. So good. It's still like 4th or 5th in the box office, and it's coming out on digital. It's like so strange that they're still doing that. If I'm number 5 in the box office, I might push that release dates back, to be honest. I don't know. It's a lot of money, man. Good for them. Maybe they can learn some good lessons.
But it doesn't seem like they are. I mean, one of the reasons why people are turning more and more to content creators is the authenticity of content creators. We are giving you our authentic opinion. We're not selling out. We're not being paid off. We're not being bought. We're not shilling. We're giving you our actual feelings on something as we take it in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
More the critics that are out there that are being paid to review things, to watch things, to give you their opinion, are being paid and selling out. They're not giving you their authentic opinion because they don't want to lose access to.
That's the trick. Because even if they don't get paid, they're probably being sent there by someone that's paying them, but they don't want to lose access. Access matters everything to them. Because remember, there's a critic. There's no statue erected for a critic. So they can feel important about themselves when they're writing about all of this, and they feel like they're part of the industry and all of that. And you can see how they fool themselves into this. When I would go to screeners and you see them all in the same room together commingling, they're just so snobby and elitist and whatever. And you're just like, ugh, I don't want to be a part of any of these people. They're just as bad as some of the Hollywood people. So, yes, I agree with what Mark said too. The older Tom Cruise is insane because he's like got the FU money. He's like, well, I'm only going to do this if you let me dangle on a rope on the side of the building. I'm only going to do this if you let me learn how to fly a helicopter, and I'll actually fly a helicopter. It's like freaking. It's an insane legacy that guy's building. I love it. What's Makani saying here?
Yeah, but he is leaving a legacy, and he is. A lot of people are labeling him as the last true, movie star. That you're not going to get. You're not going to get this kind of person ever again. He is the last movie star.
Because these other guys are not stepping up. They had their leverage and they didn't leverage it. Like I think Hemsworth had leverage and didn't do it. And his movies are they're becoming just generic, vanilla, interchangeable things. And that's the way a lot of these actors are. They've had their opportunities to leverage it for something special, and they just don't do it.
Sellouts.
I guess. Sellouts.
Bikini draws with the $10 super chat. Think about that street fight in Captain America with the Winter Soldier. A lot of the fight, especially with Bucky and Cap, was less CG and shots weren't quick for the most part.
That's correct. That's why that holds up as the best one, in my opinion.
But would they do that now?
Oh, no. They would be. I don't know that we're going to see anything get corrected for another few years because this stuff is already being developed. It's already been written. It's already whatever. That's where we're at. And obviously, so much of this stuff is connected to those 3 or 4 big corporations. And like you said early on, this is why the Amazon thing looks so bad for everybody because this is this big, robust company that spends a lot of money. And sure, they'll do a terminal list, but then they're also going to do this. And they're going to, sure, they'll do Reacher, but they're going to do this. And you're like, okay. So when is the shift in the tide? I don't know. I still think we have a long way to go. I don't have enough. I have faith that we'll see pieces of things like a Top Gun or something like that every now and again. But like I said, it's still got to work its way through the system.
Yeah. Thank you, Bikini, for that $10 super chat. You guys keep the fires burning bright here in Valhalla. And this one's just for you, Max. Go!
Long live the fighters!
So you said it earlier. I saw you going for that drink. I was doing the exact same thing. I'm like, drink time.
I didn't go fast enough. I didn't put it over.
Do you think that it's going to take Hollywood having to be embarrassed to get back to any kind of, because I think they're getting embarrassed. This is embarrassing.
They're already getting embarrassed. It's just about the finances haven't washed through enough. Enough of the loans haven't come due. Enough of the creators aren't being ruined yet. The money's still going. There's still a lot of printing the money and getting through. The government has subsidized too much of this. There's still, and again, some of these companies are just so massive. And that's why the Zaslav thing was so shocking, because people were like, holy crap, that's actually the bold steps that we need, right?
Money. Listen, Warner Brothers has lost so much money. Billions of dollars for a movie production company. That is fucking embarrassing.
Yeah, for those of you that follow me doing this regularly, every time I talk about them, I always have to check and see how bad has the stock price gotten, because it's got to be an abysmal situation. I think it's like down to like $13 or some insane amount of money. Yeah, it's like just down to like $13.50.
That's insanity.
That's insane.
They're going to lose everything.
Yeah,
they bringing in Zaslav. That's like, this is like emergency countermeasures. We're going down. We're sinking. How can you plug the holes and keep us from sinking? And he may not be able to.
No, that's true. He's inherited such a mess, and that even the things that they have said that are good or decent, kind of like what they said about like Aquaman 2 or the Shazam movie and whatever, like, well, we're going to roll through with these. They still may not be good enough. I mean, even if they do okay in the box office, these things are they're wasting so much money on CGI and overpriced nonsense that, not every movie can make $600 and $700 billion. Million dollars, sorry, or $1 billion. They can't. It's not mathematically plausible. So I don't know if they can generate enough. I don't know. That's why you said earlier, I don't know when it was we were talking about it. You were like, Paramount Plus is literally on a lifeline. They can't. Yes. We barely understand why they're not merging with something else. Like, there's just no way that model is sustainable. It's all outpouring of money. There's not enough money coming in. And I don't know. I couldn't agree more. So I don't know how that gets
and I believe what's happening with Warner Brothers is going to be a domino. Mm-hmm. Warner Brothers has wasted millions and millions and apparently billions of dollars on this idea that, well, we can do this and we can make it like this and people are going to absolutely love it. Nobody's loved it. Just look at the latest. Warner Brothers used to be the lead in animation, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
You want to talk about an animation company that kicked ass, took names, didn't take any shit off anybody, would rival Japanimation, would rival the Japanese in animating, and they have shit the bed with this last Green Lantern movie, and it's just, you can tell. You could tell at the end of Long Halloween, the second part of Long Halloween, that whole second movie was trash.
Yeah.
The Green Lantern movie is trash. They have completely lost their way when it comes to animation. They used to be the lead.
Killing Joke, I almost got it walked out of the theater, man. They sent me a screener for that. I remember watching that and the whole Batgirl thing that happens on the roof. Like, please don't subject yourself to this. It's shockingly bad. And then they return to the actual story so they can actually say how it's comic book adapted. Yeah, but you have to sit through this first part, which is not, and it's deplorably bad. So, no, I agree that they've missed the boat on the entire superhero phenomenon. And I know people love Zack Snyder, but he didn't make good enough movies. I'm really sorry. Man of Steel has a ton of issues. BVS had a ton of issues. Justice League had a ton of issues. I don't care which versions are his and not his and whatever. There's elements to them that are not going to work, and they've got to figure some of that out, and they've missed so much of this time to do that. And I think with all this, because now we're getting all basically to the normies, we're just getting second tier stuff. You think the normies are going to be thrilled about Aquaman 2 and Shazam and Black Adam and what? No, they don't care. And it's yeah, it's an uphill battle, man. I agree with you. I think that what if Warner Brothers and Zaslav can pull this together, it's just going to be a sign to them that they need to find someone like that to come in and clean their house. But when that happens, I don't know, because Amazon and Disney and all these companies are so much bigger. So, and yes, Machini, oh my gosh, it is freaking insane how bad this is.
My issue with Bruce and Barbara was that Bruce is like the best friend of Gordon. So Bruce and Gordon, Batman and Gordon, I'll fix that. Batman and Gordon are the greatest buddy cop story ever told. And buddy cop isn't going to sleep with other buddy cop's daughter. Period. It's not going to happen. You don't cross that line. And if you do, buddy cop shoots you when he finds out that you slept with his baby girl. I don't care if she's old enough. I don't care. Oh, but Loki, they're both adults. I don't care.
But they're kind of adults, but they don't play, even in the animation, like Machini's saying, it is an atrocity because they still play up like the mentor daddy type stuff with how Batman is towards his Bat family. And it just sort of like happens. And you're just like, what is going on? Like, it didn't need to be there. It didn't help the Killing Joke story, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God. I remember when this was happening, I got up and went to the bathroom and got a soda refill and thought to myself, do I even want to give it? But I'm, again, paid to be there, lack of a better term, paid to be there. Like, I'm going to see, I need to finish reviewing this. And then like I said, the end of this, it actually becomes comic book accurate.
Yes.
And now they can claim it is. But no, wait, I had to sit through this first where you violated my sensibilities.
Whoever thought that, and I can understand this aspect of it. Bruce is, okay, Batman, Bruce Wayne is a solitary figure in this. Yes. He is a solitary figure. He's been a solitary figure. All his relationships are fluff pieces for the news as Bruce Wayne. As Batman, he is solitary. Barbara is becoming an adult and looks at Batman as this, well, he's the man that I want. He's a man that I want, but it's still Batman. So I can understand her looking at him and going, you know what? All these college guys are just boys. This is a man. This is what I am looking for. I can understand that. I can. And that's why I kind of gave it I get the idea, but it's the fact that Gordon and Batman are the two buddy cop guys, and you don't sleep with buddy cop's kid. Period. I don't care if she's old enough. I don't give a shit. Oh, but Loki, she's over the age of 21. I don't give a shit. It's buddy cop, and you're gonna get shot.
It's just messed up. I know how we got the RR to Killing Joke. Boy, strap yourselves in, folks.
Warner Brothers. We got there because Warner Brothers is in the toilet.
Yeah.
And they shouldn't be. They shouldn't be. They screwed themselves.
Yep. Yep.
And the execution of all this, like Dave Bob says, the execution sucks. All of it sucks.
All of it. Yeah.
From what they did with Snyder, I'm not a huge Snyder fan. There are aspects of the films I like, and there's aspects of the films I don't like. I do not like Batman versus Superman, but I like the director's cut of Batman versus Superman. Yes. I'm not really great with the original Justice League movie. The Snyder cut's better, but I don't like the music in the Snyder cut. And there's like give and takes with all of this. Yeah. That's like, you guys just didn't come through. So stop making all this shit. And you know what? We'll use Ezra Miller and the Flash to reset the entire universe. And Batgirl and Superman will be the leaders of the Justice League, just like
Super
we wanted
Senorita.
Wonder Woman to.
She's Hispanic, right? So it's Super Senorita.
God help us.
I know. Again, folks, this is why I ended up falling down the rabbit's hole of finding something that was decent, and why I've been on this bandwagon of taking all these recommendations and doing this stuff, because I actually just thought, well, I was just like, and when I did my review of RRR, it'd been out for so long. I thought to myself, well, no one's really going to pay attention to it. It's so far after the fact, but it got people are really interested in finding good things. So if you see things and you think they're good, you need to share it so people know. So, oh wait, Rod's Thunderheart.
Before that, Moons of Madness, it astounds me why these companies don't hire people who actually know and care about this stuff, because that's bad.
Yeah,
you can't hire people that actually are a fan of it. They have to lie and say they're a fan of it.
But I would trigger the heck out of them every time I'd be in the room.
That's right. And they get rid of people like that. Yeah. They get rid of people like us that know our facts and know how the shit's done. Rob Thunderheart with $2 Canadian or $10. I am so sorry, my friend. A $10 Canadian super chat. Few bucks to keep the fires burning, sir. Saw Top Gun Maverick. Absolutely loved it. Looking forward to your review of my book. I am working on it, Rod. I absolutely positively assure you I have it right here. It's sitting right next to me. See Through Love by Rod Thunderheart. I am getting to it. Trust me. I have just been overloaded with some of the stuff I've been doing and getting ready for October, but it is coming. I will crack it. I promise. Then thank you for the $10 super chat, brother. Southern Viking, from what I've heard, if you are a fan of the IP you want to work for, you won't be hired. You will not be hired.
Even when they do, and they bring somebody in like they did for Ring of Power, right? They fired them, get rid of them. Like, that's creating too much turmoil. That's not what we want. So it just shows that that's not, to me, that's doomed. That's you're not, it's not an interesting thing to me. That's another reason why I'm not even going to try to do videos or whatever, because I don't know enough about the lore. And right off the bat, I know they don't care about any of that. So,
Southern Viking, the exception of Cobra Kai is that the writers shopped that everywhere. They shopped it at Amazon. They shopped it at Netflix. They shopped it at Hulu. They were told no, no, no. And the only reason why Cobra Kai got greenlit is because YouTube was doing their own YouTube studio thing and said, fuck it, we'll take it.
YouTube Red. Right?
Yeah, YouTube Red.
Yeah.
YouTube Red, which is gone now, and Cobra Kai is over on Netflix. But Netflix did not want Cobra Kai. Nope. We covered this. If you go back and you watch our Cobra Kai reviews, Netflix did not want anything to do with Cobra Kai. It was too toxic for Netflix. It wasn't until Cobra Kai was a hot item that Netflix said, yeah, we'll bring it here. We'll let you guys keep doing. And that was part of the deal, was they didn't get interference from Netflix over how they were making their show.
Very
that
cool.
was part of the deal, from what I understand, was you can't tell us to change this, or this person, or change how we're doing this. We continue to make the show the way we want.
It's also
and it's been badass. You've got kick-ass chick fights. You've got kick-ass guy fights. You've got toxic femininity. You've got toxic masculinity. It's all there, and it's all in your face, and it's all, Cobra Kai Never Dies. Hell, right now I am wearing Cobra Kai Never Dies sleep pants with cobras all over them. Why? Because that shit kicks absolute ass. I'm sitting here in a white t-shirt, pretty much in my pajamas, with my Cobra Kai Never Dies sleep pants. Why? Because it's absolutely kick-ass. And
That's
nobody
awesome.
saw it. Nobody saw it coming. And YouTube Red was like, screw it. We'll pay for it. We'll get you. We're starting something new. We'll take the chance on you.
That's the way that's how these D&D stories always work. Is someone just eventually just kept kicking the doors, and if it's good, it flows to the top, and people will find out about it. So anyway, that's good, man. That's good.
As long as it made money. See, that was a problem with the movie studios in the 70s and the 80s. They didn't know what the hell they were doing. They just wanted to make money. And it was up to the directors and the actors to get things right. Now it's all studio interference.
And you should watch. I mean, if any of you watch The Offer, where it's talking about, it's like a little mini series. It's a drama where they're talking about the making of The Godfather, and you get the sort of behind the scenes of the producers, and we need money for this, and how to get this made, and this won't make money, and you can't buy this. That element of it was very factual. Maybe not word for word, but it was enough to understand the culture of the time and how things were getting made and not made. And I think some of that has gotten so strange. I agree with what Gary says. These people are nimrods. They don't know anything about anything. They'll see Spider-Man No Way Home and go, cameos work, put cameos in it. That is literally how some of these people think. And I've interacted with them too. And all I can do is echo what Gary has said, because they are that dumb. It really, really is shocking to me. But they got there and I didn't. So who knows? Yeah. Thank you. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's got some woke elements. I'm not going to lie. There's some elements. I will say there's people who have unfairly maligned the show because of the secretary, but that secretary is a legit human who existed and started her own firm and stuff. So some of that stuff is factual, but she's passed away. So it's a little hard to fact check everything, but it can come across as it's part of our woke PTSD, Loki. We talked about, like, sometimes we see things and we see more of it than it may actually be there. So it's tough because we don't trust these people. They've betrayed our trust. So.
And I think McKinney they weren't just 2-second little cameos, and there were definite nods and tip of the hats to what made those movies great. It wasn't just, oh, well, guess what? We're going to have Tobey Maguire come back and smile at the camera. We're not going to have Andrew Garfield come back and smile at the camera. They had significant roles to play in the story, and they're villains. Some of these villains that were completely screwed up, like Electro. Electro was a completely foobarred villain in Amazing Spider-Man 2. They made him correctly in this. They fixed things that they made mistakes on, and they cared about it. It's not just dangling a member berry in front of you and saying, oh my God, look what we did as member berries. These are things that actually mattered, and things that they actually took care in. Well, guess what? We messed up Electro in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So you know what we're going to do? The first time you see this bastard, we're going to have it show the suit in the electricity. We're going to let you see the Electro suit in the electricity around him as he appears the first time. Little things like that you're like, holy shit. They actually did it. It's that Ian Malcolm thing in Jurassic. You crazy son of a bitch! You actually did it.
Well, remember, and John Watts was supposed to do Fantastic Four. So the guy that gets it at least a little bit in the Spider-Man part told Marvel to go F themselves, and he's like, "No, I'm out." So it just shows you the direction of where the Mouse House wants to go with what Sony allowed him to do. So I have more faith in John Watts than I do all of the system. So that's how you kind of have to parse through what's going on. It's like we have faith in Tom Cruise. We don't have faith in Paramount. Like we can understand you have to parse through some of this stuff in the weeds of where there's hope. The hope is what's Tom Cruise doing next and how much control does he have with these Mission Impossible movies, not the studio itself. So that's, I think, where we're at with this situation. It's like there's not a lot of hope at a macro level with studio level stuff. Maybe Zaslav can pull a few things here and there, whatever. Right now, I hear a lot more of that deleting stuff, but not creating things. So I need to see more like what does he want to do and create, not stuff he's inherited, before I'll believe there's hope yet from a macro level. So,
Pops, I want to thank you. Thank you so very much for being here today, hanging out on Thursday. The hour's gone by in a flash. It's like you blink and it's over. We've gone our hour. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much.
Holla family. Love you guys so much for all you've done for me too. I mean, it's incredible. I can't believe I got monetized next Wednesday night, bro. We'll have to celebrate a little bit.
Okay, so next Wednesday, you said you're going to do it at 4:30. Right?
Mm-hmm. 4:30.
Okay, 4:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5:30 Eastern Time. Pops is going to be doing his monetization stream. I'm going to come by for a little bit. I've got a show later that night, but I'm going to come by for a little bit and hang out and congratulate Pops on kicking ass and taking names and hitting that goal, man.
In large part because of you guys. Names. That's for sure. You guys have all made it happen. I can't believe it's all happening this quick for me. It's just crazy. Yeah.
So.
It's awesome, man. Great show. Great time. Always love talking out. Thank you, Soul Assassin. Thank you so much, all of you.
But we are going to do Talk Hard.
Yeah, Talk Hard is Johnny Dangerously. Johnny Dangerously,
Tuesday.
Talk Guys Tuesday, and monetization is Wednesday. So I
All
normally
right.
have a talk about normally my Pops Talk News show with Mags, so she'll be there with us too, and we'll kind of bring a few of you in one at a time, or a few at a time, and kind of just say thanks and talk a little bit about the experience so far, and it's awesome. So much, yeah.
Oh yeah, hell yeah, brother McKinney, woohoo! Congrats,
Thanks,
pops!
Thanks, Mark.
Congrats,
Thank you
pops!
so much, my friend. Dave
Guys,
Bob.
and we've got
Yeah,
a link up. Thanks to Chris Persia, the great.
Yeah, he
Chris
sent me
Persia.
an upgraded thumbnail, so I'll have to make some changes. Typical mod god. That's how he rocks.
He
at home.
is. He absolutely is. He
All right.
absolutely is. Big help. Thank you guys so very much. You guys are absolutely
all. Be
excellent. We will see you guys later tonight on 7 Kinds of Mischief with the Dig It Outlaw. But until then, be great, be excellent to each other. Always speak friend to enter. We guys see you later tonight. Take care, everybody.
See you, folks.
These videos are tremendous. Like, comment, and subscribe, and hammer that notification bell.